So you want to fade? We're gonna go with the fade. We're gonna drop the fade down, pull some of this off the top here, and kind of burst it and put some of the color it up a little bit. And telling this guy yesterday, I was like, look, man, you older than me. I said, pat yourself on the back. You're holding it together. I'm giving you your flowers because nobody gives men their flowers.
Okay. What do you mean? Metaphorically?
No, altogether. Men don't get that feeling
The
of
extra stuff?
it's the feeling of you're doing it. Last time somebody told you a compliment? It's not something that we're used to. So a lot of times when men do get compliments, we don't know how to take them. Meanwhile, women get compliments all the time.
They're used to it. Expect it.
And they almost hate them. They hate them.
Especially when it's like ones they hear all the time, like, "Oh, you pretty," or "Oh, you beautiful." And
they want you to build their self-esteem and character without all the pretty and all that stuff. That don't mean nothing to them.
Man,
when she look in the mirror.
I be trying to put tie on game so bad. I listen, man. When you hollering at a really fine girl, don't never say she fine, bro. She hear that from everybody.
Exactly.
You gotta compliment her on something like, "Oh, she seem like she's really intelligent," or like, her conversation's fine, or like she seem like she's grounded or motivated, whatever. That's true though.
If you really know her, and you can build her character and her self-esteem about herself. You know what? I noticed you did this. I noticed that, blah, blah, blah. Then she's like, ooh, something different.
Right.
You notice something different.
Right.
Maybe I can succeed more in this area. You know what I mean? That's women.
That's women.
Men, we don't understand this. You know.
So where we going with what men are not used to it?
Men are not used to. So. Here's an example. Let's use you for an example.
Okay.
Pat yourself on the back. You're holding it together.
Okay.
Okay? There's a guy that looks just like you standing on the corner begging for change on the corner. You always feel like I'm not doing enough. I ain't done enough. You'll always feel like that. We always feel like
we're missing something. We did something we didn't do.
You'll be 80 years old still going.
Yeah. That's why men, especially old school men, work all their whole life.
You feel like you're going to get to a certain place in your life and stop and be comfortable. No, you're not. You're always going to chase it. So nobody has told you lately. Nobody has told you, Michael, that you are doing a great job. You haven't lost your mind yet.
Okay.
You have not lost your mind yet. In this America, in this society, working day by day, trying to keep a spouse happy, paying bills, keeping it together. Keeping it together. You deserve to pat your own self on the back because to understand that men don't get that.
That's true.
Nobody's gonna give you that. Nobody tells men you're doing a great job.
Because that's just what you're supposed to do.
Supposedly.
Right.
You telling me? I mean, I made my bed. I made my bed, but it's because honestly, a lot of times you make your bed off of what I thought I wanted, or I think I'm doing. But without all that, today, right now, pat yourself on the back. Because nobody told you, nobody asked you how you been doing. Who the last person to say, hey, how you doing? No, how you really doing? How you doing? Oh, I'm good. You just say, oh, I'm good. No, how you really doing?
Yeah.
Well, I'm more than worried about this. I'm like,
That's true.
They don't ask men that stuff.
Because, I mean, at the end of the day, people expect men. Well, if we were raised around men.
Yeah. But don't it feel good to get your flowers? I mean, suicide rate amongst men is like the highest.
That's true. I think it's important to have that But I also feel like if you in, like a healthy relationship, you can get that, but your woman, your wife, whoever has to recognize that. So I don't think it's a impossible thing. So where were you going with it though?
So it's definitely not impossible, and it happens all the time. Women definitely go out of their way all the time to show their man appreciation. All I'm saying is Father's Day and Mother's Day is nowhere like.
Well, that's true.
Nowhere in comparison, close.
That's true. And you feel like it should be.
Well, I feel like so the only reason I bring it up is because I aspire with my channel to make sure that men do understand that. Just give it, not saying that it's in comparison to anything, it's just the fact that men don't get it. And I only aspire to give it to them. Hey man, we care about you as well. Who's gonna care about us but us? Who cares about you but you? Nobody. Nobody asks you, hey man, do you take your vitamins today? Nobody care about you but you. We gotta care about us. And men's health is part of my brand. You see what I'm saying?
I see.
I aspire to give men their flowers because nobody else is gonna do it. It's just yeah.
So do you also like mix in things as far as like men's health and all like that too?
Yeah, oh yeah. Because it's like man's mental health is what I'm really alluding to with the whole suicide thing.
Because a lot of it's tied together. Because that's the whole reason why men don't usually go to the doctor.
There you go.
Because men have been raised or taught through entertainment industry or media or culture to, especially black men, that you don't talk about your ailments. Look at Chadwick Boseman. Nobody even knew that man had cancer.
Nope.
Why did no one know that man had cancer? He didn't choose to talk about it. But that was his own choice. One way or another, we don't know the reasons or whatever. But if you notice, what has been celebrated? The fact that he didn't tell him about it. The fact that he held it in. So you have to ask yourself, well, why is that celebrated?
Right.
Why are we making it? Why are we encouraging men who are going through a life possibly ending sickness to not talk about it, or to not, garner support from the community or whatever? Why? And if they do, why is it negatively looked at?
Right.
That's a good question.
That's something, man.
It's a good point. Because, I know like my father. My father is all the way old school, and he's just like that.
Not going to the doctor.
He'll go now that he's way older. But I don't ever remember my dad going to the doctor for crap. I don't even remember him talking about nothing. The only thing I ever knew about with my dad is that he had a bad knee, and that's because he used to hoop and he stopped. That's literally the only thing I ever knew about my dad's health. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He didn't believe in like showing any kind of affection or anything like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, he was just very old school. I also see, and I'm just saying this just because we're going back and forth with it. I also see that society has looked for. I'm not trying to be funny, but like sort of a gender blending environment, right? And I understand why.
Okay.
People who have struggled in the gay communities and bisexual community, LGBTQ, all that. And they've gone through it. So they feel as the only way to gain some kind of equal footing is...
You're talking about abuse?
Yes.
Okay.
Abuse and just any kind of bullying, all that wrapped in one.
Okay.
And they feel like the only way to do it is to try to normalize it as much as possible.
Yeah.
Now, for me personally, obviously from a religious standpoint, I don't condone that. At the same time, I'm not gonna hate a person for whatever they've chosen to do in their life, regardless of what it is. Nor am I going to try to make them do one thing or another. It's one thing I never totally understood about people fighting against, like, say, gay marriage or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily agree with it, but that doesn't mean, like, how am I gonna make someone else do one thing or another?
Right.
What I see though
Yeah.
is just this normalization of. As a matter of fact, I just saw some on Facebook. This dude was getting his nails painted with his girl,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
it wasn't just. I don't think there's anything big deal about getting a manicure, pedicure, whatever, as a man.
Mm-hmm.
But he was getting like his nails painted, like for real, like designs, like a chick, you know. Now, that being said, I was looking at the comments and seeing how the whole point of that post was to say, when can we normalize men doing this or doing feminine things?
Were they for it or
they were for it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, girls.
Probably wanting this, saying they want this. When they, okay.
Now, of course, there were some women that did it.
Right.
It's like a mixture. But here's my point. Everything that works and is okay and applicable to the white community is not to the black community. Now, the reason why I say that is this. The white community does not have a problem with a family unit. Okay, or broken homes, or things like this, right? That's not something systemic to their demographic.
Right.
Not saying that all black people deal with that, but it's more of an issue in the black community as a whole than, say, in the white community. Now, what's happening, in my opinion, is this feminization of black men. And it's breaking down what the family unit is supposed to be. And, you know, it's funny because, like, you got to be kind of careful when you say stuff because you don't want to be offensive to anyone or, you know, you don't want to say anything that's, that people view as, you know, I guess toxic or whatever the case. But I think it's important. It's important to raise young black men to understand the strength that's needed as a black man in the community. When you have, you know, young black men wearing dresses, for instance, because that's, you know,
feminization of the
that's the move right now. Whether we realize it or not, look at Will Smith's son. Get Tyler the Creator.
I see it.
You know, it's the younger generation. You know, the teenagers that are coming up now, right? They're the ones that are most susceptible to this.
That's right.
Because of the fact that they're the most separated from the old generation.
That's right.
And that's not to say everything about the old generation was right. The old generation was abusive and all kinds of different things. You know what I mean?
There was less, but there was less. There was less on the. There was less about that.
But it was all to a means to an end in order to make you a certain way so that you could survive in this world. Now, honestly, neither way is the best. You want to have a balance. You don't necessarily want someone to be abusive and emotionally not there as a father. You know what I'm saying? That's not what you want. But at the same time, you don't want your father walking in with a dress. Like, there's two different things.
Boom.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta strike a balance between it.
Right.
You know? And so a lot of times when people are making these arguments back and forth, they'll use the negatives of each to make the argument. So a person who is quote unquote more progressive might say, yes, but this is a toxic relationship. You know, this abuse, you see what happens to people who've been abused. They go through all this anxiety and depression, boo, 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 boo. Okay, fine. And you have the person on the other hand, you know, oh, this person wear a dress, you know, perhaps their son might end up being gay or this, and this. You can't go to the extremes to explain either or. You gotta find the balance between the both. And it's the same way like when people talk about you know, political stuff between you know, Democrats, Republicans, conservatives, and you know, liberals, all this stuff.
Yeah.
No one thing is all true.
Yeah.
Two things can be true at the same time.
Right.
You know, And that's the reason why, well, that's not the main reason, but that's a reason why people go into the debate a lot of these topics. They'll never find a common ground because they're both making valid points, but the points aren't necessarily relevant to what you're trying to get across. Because, you know, yes, the black community has a problem with murder, you know, in the city of Chicago. Like, that's their one of their go-tos, right? That's true. All right. You can't sit there and say this racist person.
Whose street is it? Clean up your own street.
He's not telling the truth.
Yeah.
And so that's the problem. When you try to go and disprove something, it's not going to work because parts of it can be true.
Right. But
it's the application of it.
It's nuts.
Yeah. We choose not to. We choose not to see the points that another person's trying to make.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because everyone has their own motivations. Right. Everyone has their own motivations, and that's why, you know, especially for me and, you know, in our religion, we stay completely neutral on this stuff because we realize that man will never be able to figure that out on their own. I mean, it's just what it is. Yeah. So anyway, that was my 2 cents on it. It's just crazy because, man, it's like people are so.
Everybody's so emotional.
Yeah.
Everybody's so emotional right now, and it doesn't call for emotions. It calls for some real talking because we need to be talking.
Yeah.
Me and you, solving a problem, sitting right here talking. They getting on these different podcasts and people we talking, and it's time to have the conversations. It's not time. It's time to. We doing more than most people. They hiding around their day-to-day job, just waiting for the rest of us to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you gotta look at it. Like, for instance, I was on the Astros page, and I actually got off on a lot of them just because of all the stuff that happened with, you know, the scandal. I just got tired of seeing people going off, especially when it was so hypocritical or whatever. That's a whole nother conversation. But I was looking at one of the ones that I am still on, and you know, they did they boycotted the game, whatever, after the NBA started, and you know, all these other teams was doing it. So the Astros was one of the MLB teams that boycotted the game. And you should have seen all the Astros fans. I mean, I swear, it might have been like 90%. Yeah, easy. Just of people talking about just how they'll never watch the Astros again, how this is absolutely crazy. Everything on the spectrum from, you know, calling someone a monkey to, you know, I just think that we need to represent Jackie Robinson better. And the really ironic thing,
some real stuff started coming out.
They was quoting Jackie Robinson, talking about Jackie Robinson would hate this, and I'm like, really? Like,
real emotions coming out.
You have the gall to, as a, you know, right-wing person to.
That's the great thing about this time, though. The great thing about this time is when stuff happens. Yes. It's showing how people do really feel.
Let me take it a little deeper with you then. It made me reflect on my days at Longhorn. Now, you and me, we're both, you know, intelligent, educated, young black men, right? All right. Now, we worked with a lot of really cool people at Longhorn. We also worked with a lot of people that was low-key racist. But we are so used to being surrounded
by
that we either dismiss it, ignore it, or push to the side and deal with it.
Right.
You know, much more so than white people ever have to do with us.
Right.
Because let's be real, white people are not going to be around no extra ratchet black people.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
But black people can end up being around some really racist. Now, here's the thing. People, now there are white people that, you know, are down for the cause, you know, so to speak, whatever. But don't think for a moment they really get it.
You know what I mean? It's like, damn, is it that hard to get?
They're just supporting it because they know it's the right thing to do.
Right.
You see?
Right.
That's as good as it'll ever be able to be for a white person. And that's not to take anything away from them.
Right.
Or to say, you know, I'm not even going to go like say they're evil.
Right.
It's just that they are not built to understand it.
Right.
Because they have never had to live that, nor have any of their ancestors had to live that.
Had to live it.
You know, and now the conversation went. He was talking about a welfare system, right? He's like, I just don't understand. You realize that there are people that take advantage of the welfare system. There are people who, you know, just have babies and they don't work and they just chilling. There's nothing wrong with them. I say, yeah, that's true.
Right.
I was like, but in any system, you're gonna have people that take advantage of it.
Right.
On the other hand, there are people that desperately need it.
Right.
So are you gonna take it away because of the small portion of people that are abusing it?
Right.
So that the people that really need it have to suffer?
Right. But if you had to abuse welfare, you need it.
So
I don't have to do that because I don't need it. I'm not
That's
involved.
another point too.
Yeah.
Then he started talking about how long ago things were. Well, yeah, but you know, slavery was so long ago, and you know, swords, that was a long time. I was like, all right, my parents, and at the time, I guess they must have been in their 60s. Mm-hmm. My parents went to segregated schools in the South. Mm-hmm. My pops in Virginia, my mom's in Alabama. Mm-hmm. My mama remembers to this day as a little child at a parade in Mobile having a white cop on a horse spit in her face. To this day, my mother is scared of especially white policemen on motorcycles because she associates that with that cop on the horse. I said my aunts and my mom used to, when they would walk to school, unless they were willing to go miles and miles out the way, had to cut through a white neighborhood. Mm-hmm. They would have to literally crawl and stoop behind bushes and hide just to go to school.
Running from the boogeyman.
Now, I said, you telling me it wasn't that long ago, well, let me ask you this. If somebody spit in your mother's face, right, would you take it personal?
Personal. It's all on site.
He's like, yeah.
It's all on site.
I was like, all right then. Then don't tell people not to take something personal because it's not that long ago. And he was like, he really couldn't say nothing because he could understand the reason. But
yeah, you have to make them understand because they have all these arguments without thinking anything through. You know, that's why
it's like what I said.
Right.
You make points, but that's not applicable to this.
But I said to him, I said, when it comes from my brother, it doesn't feel like venom. And he's like, oh shoot, don't feel like. He's like, he started to see, but
started throwing out irrelevant truths.
Right, and I'm thinking, well, why did
it's in the music? You see the pattern there.
But he wants to. Why is it concerning you? You want to use it?
Of course they want to use
it. I mean, what's the concern?
But that's human nature. That doesn't bother me because that is human nature. Human nature is always to want something that is considered taboo. That's just what it is. My issue is them trying to deny that and trying to tell us that we should not be offended. That's what I am offended by. I don't care that you want to say it. Of course you want to say it. Who wouldn't?
Offended by the N-word? No, them saying it.
Them saying it.
Oh, Lord. Why would you think I wouldn't be offended by you saying this word?
They don't want you to be. They want to feel.
That is ridiculous.
But see, and
it feels like venom. Yeah. If you say it, it feels like venom to me. I feel like you're trying to cut me down. If my brother say it don't feel like that. In the context of how he's using it. But if you say it, I know you trying to cut me down.
I even had a chick, I was Ubering. I think I told you this one. Some chick from Boston, and she was talking to a black chick, talking about how, you know, she never experienced racism. And, you know, she gets that it probably happens, but that she just has never experienced it. And so it's weird to her. Until that day that I picked her up, and the white Uber driver called her a nigga and drove off. Wow. And I picked her up. I was the second person to come get her. Wow. And she's on the phone with Uber, you know, making her complaint. And, you know, it's almost like, yeah, I'm glad you went through it just so you know. But look at how things are now.
Right.
Where it feels literally like we're back in the 60s and the 50s. You have Trump talking about sending military and police to, and you know I don't vote, Raymond. You know my stance on it. You know my stance on it.
I ain't got no stance. I don't care how I vote either.
But you know how I feel.
No, I know.
But I ain't too blind to not realize what he's doing. Mm-hmm. That's voter intimidation, and it's so crazy how it's exactly like what they used to do. Mm-hmm. Like they're bringing old school stuff, bro. Like police and you know, and you can't really separate the police from the military anymore. By the way,
no.
Police are militarized.
Right.
It's all the same thing. They have military grade weapons. They have military vehicles.
Right.
They are ex-military.
They got the exact.
Ain't no change. That's the military, bro. So you have these militarized people, you know, beating down protesters, all this stuff. Dog, It ain't no different than summer. Mm-hmm. Ain't nothing changed.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? The only thing that's changed, and even really you can't say that. You could say, well, they can't be as blatant as they used to be because it's not, you know, politically correct or not allowed. But that's what they're fighting against now. That was the whole point of Trump, was wanting white people to be able to be racist out in open and not have to worry about any kind of backlash. It didn't happen yet. They're trying. But you still see the Karens online having a little racist rant and getting fired. You still see that.
The who?
The Karens. You know, they talk about Karens.
The white girls?
Yeah.
What it is? They're having racist rants?
Yeah, racial rants.
About us?
No, yeah, well.
Or against us? Or
yeah, and somebody will record it. Okay. It'll be online.
But see, here's the thing. I know it to be another way as well, though.
Okay.
I just had a white girl say, you know, she was just all adamant about it, blah 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 blah, and the only reason I say that because you know people can flip flop depending on what door they walking through.
True.
But the reason I say that is because the only way they can control that is through the media.
Okay, so keep going.
The only way they'll be able to control the masses of everybody feeling that certain way to be able to say, I'm open, I feel I can say this, I can feel I can say that. It will shed a light on those certain individuals, but all those individuals don't feel that same way.
So you're saying, because I was talking about how, you know, there's an environment now where they'll still get fired from their jobs perhaps. You're for saying something racist.
Okay.
You're saying it doesn't change, I guess, the point of that people still agree with what they're saying. Is that what you mean?
Oh, well, I was actually agreeing with you. Oh,
so you're saying that it's necessary. Okay, just keep going then. Keep going.
Yeah, because like I had a Lyft ride and the girl, she was like, she went into it without me. You know, she was just like, you know, and something about she was like very endearing about this whole Black Lives Matter thing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, damn, well, does she care more than me? I mean, you know what I'm saying? And what I'm saying is I understand, you know, people change like the weather, but still, it's on her conscience, it's on her mind. She doesn't feel like, you know what I'm saying? As far as what she's telling me. Now, is there people who actually, are there Caucasians who actually aren't racist? Is pretty much it. Yes, I believe that. Are there Caucasians who aren't racist? Yes. I believe that.
Okay.
I believe that I didn't understand what racism was until I understood that there was something going on here called racism one day. I was not born knowing this concept. I had to figure that out. That came later. I wasn't born knowing people was racist. And the only reason most people was racist, they've been controlled mentally. These people have been controlled mentally. When it's a science behind it. Look at what happened with Adolf Hitler's influence. Because he was allowed to be able to be vocal enough to get into the emotions of people and can control these people through their emotions, through their mind. These racist people are under control.
We want to know what's ironic too. To me, is when you look at other governments in the world. If you, I don't know how much you get into world politics as well, but after Trump and in that recent period of our history and our lives, you've had the same exact thing happening in all these other countries. Look at England, in Britain, they I think their elected person was came from a right wing political party. The dude from Brazil. They were trying to get someone in Germany. There was a couple other countries too. But I thought that was really interesting that it was happening everywhere.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then I asked myself, I want to see what you think about why you think this is. Like you just said, you're not born racist, right? You have to be taught it.
You taught that.
So how is it each generation of white people has racist people? That stuff is systematic.
It is. That's what I'm saying.
It's systematic.
You wouldn't do that now.
Right.
But it's systematic. You taught to think like that.
So much in the same way that black kids are systematically taught to be subservient, really, in a way.
Really? Yes, exactly.
Or what's the word? Not appeasing, but trying to make other people comfortable. The same way white kids are systematically raised to be racist. Now, you grow out of those things as you mature and make your own stance and choice of how to, be. Some people choose to continue to be that way. Some people don't. But that shows how systemic it really is.
Right.
You see,
You was built and raised to feel inferior.
From hundreds of years, because people don't get slavery and the slave practices. That stuff was well thought out.
Oh yes, sir.
That wasn't just some crap they came up with.
Right.
Bruh, that was...
You hear about some of the stuff that went on?
That was scientists.
Right.
Philosophers.
Yes, sir.
Community leaders.
Yep.
Learned men. They weren't rednecks. They came up with the system of slavery.
Exactly.
And how to keep it going.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? It was psychology. It was
philosophy.
It was all these things, bro.
Wow.
And they did it to make it last.
Wow.
They did it to make it last forever. They never intended for slavery to end.
Right.
I'm sure that probably in the back of their mind they were like, maybe at some point something will change, like a war. Yeah. But that's not what they wanted.
But at the time.
And they were going to do everything in their power to make sure it didn't happen.
Exactly. At the time, this cash cow, for one.
You have to have, and that's in any democracy, or not democracy, but capitalistic system. You have to have people that you can keep at the bottom.
Exactly.
That's the only way for it to work.
That's it.
That's how capitalism is.
That's right. That's the way it works.
All right. Now, for a white person, capitalism works. You work hard. You put everything into what you're doing and all, and you can come up in the world, and that's true.
Well, it could work for us.
It can. But it has to be all the stars are aligned. There's a million things.
Because I know it's working for some of these. Entertainers and athletes.
Obviously, there's always outliers. There's always outliers. But we're talking about what comes naturally and what comes easily. Okay, because you can be a white person and grow up in a wealthy family and go to Yale, and it's not even a question.
Right.
Your parents pay for it.
Right.
You go to Yale. You're in all the societies. It ain't a question of you having a life.
It's a different privilege. Black privilege is different than white privilege.
You ever looked at that show?
That's true.
What's it called?
On Netflix and what?
Nah. It's a little older. About drug addicts. Intervention.
I ain't seen that.
You never seen Intervention?
I haven't seen it. No.
All right, I stopped watching it because I got annoying. You had these white kids strung out on meth, on crack, on heroin, all whatever. You know what I mean? Family has an intervention. You know, middle class family, nothing big. Has an intervention, whatever. You know, they go to rehab, somehow turn it around. End of the episode, they're in college. They have a job, whatever. They went right back into society, ain't skipped a beat, bro.
Yeah.
Ain't skipped a beat. Like ain't nothing changed. Like they ain't never left, dog. That don't work for black people. It ain't the same vibe, man.
Oh,
it
that's
ain't the
funny.
same situation
Right.
for us, you know.
Exactly.
And so, in order for white people to stay in power, they have to have this. They have to have this system in place. They have to be versatile. They have to be able to adjust it. I did my thesis on racism in the school system.
You think you know something? Come talk. I got somebody that knows something. I know somebody that knows something. Bring it to the barbershop. Bring it right here to Barbershop Talk, live from the barber chair. Dr. Hair Men's Grooming.